And I made biscuits last time, but this time I'm going to make something that's, I guess what? Deep in my roots, that being pierogi. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong, but that's how it goes. I've been down south too long. But in any case, or pierogis, right? So in any case, I love making these. They're really good and tasty. You can get them in your freezer aisle of the grocery store if you so choose, but it's kind of great to make them yourself. I think they taste a lot better. So I've got I don't know, relatively simple recipe here. It's a simple food, you know. It's a working people, man. Polish people. So Kuryla, Polish last name, in case you didn't know that. Yeah. Anyway, so this is a sort of southernified pierogi recipe. But what I'm going to start with is the dough, and then show you how to form them and make them. It's just a dumpling, really. So we'll just make the dough to start, and then we'll make dumplings, and then we'll prepare them. So that's basically it. So I'm starting with a cup of flour. It's just basically like making any kind of, you know, dumpling or dough. So I just get a cup of flour. This makes for a few people. Most Polish recipes that I see make for, like, you know, 1 million people. But you know, you got to feed the masses. You know how that goes. So anyway, I just get a cup of flour. I put it in a mixing bowl. I put in a little bit of oil. I don't know how much that is. It's a good deal less than a tablespoon. I don't know, like, I don't know, a dash. An egg, right? And just a little bit of water. What? And so really I realize this is one of those things again where, you know, this is just cooking, man. There's not, you know, some sort of tried and true, like, this is the exact amount, you know, that this goes in. Instead, just gonna work it in there, nice and easy. Not gonna get too crazy. If you were to ask my grandmother, you know, the one who I was lucky enough to know on my mom's side, like how she would do this, she would say, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, Peter, you know, and that would be pretty much all you get. It's like any number of, you know, home cooks who are really good. They don't, you know, they've been doing it a long time. They've got a good sense of it. And so you just know when it's right. And I'm going to give you a look at it, you know, how it's supposed to sort of look when it's right. It's supposed to be a little sticky. This is another one of those doughs you don't want to super overwork, you know. But a little sticky on the inside is how you want it. And so this is the point, once it gets combined relatively well, where you want to actually work the dough a little bit yourself. It's actually not bad. It's sort of tacky, you know, you can sort of feel it. It's sticking a little to the sides. But really, you want to do this, knead it like this, not crazy, for about 3 minutes. See, that needs a little bit, I can tell it needs a little bit of flour. It's a little too sticky. Those keep going. But you want it to be a little bit sticky. So this is you can tell this dough's gonna spread out a whole lot to make, you know, pierogi. So yeah, that's really good there. Got that nice tackiness to it, but it's not too sticky. And you don't want it dry. Yeah, that's pretty good. I don't know, I think it's kind of like the consistency of like a lot of, if you ever make bread, you know, it's something like a lot of bread recipes that you might see. You know, something like that. I put a little touch more in there. But, you know, there'll be more in the bottom when you make the dumpling. But, yeah. I don't know, how long has that been? You're supposed to, you want it just to combine it. 2-3 minutes, nothing crazy. You don't want to, super overwork it. That's pretty nice. Yeah. So that's like a super simple dough, right? I mean, you're talking about, like I said, like Southerners, a good working people, yeah. Not a lot of ingredients, but a lot of love, Well, and suffering. Yeah, man. Suffering. That's what's in these. It's a lot of suffering. Yeah. So that's really good there. That looks good. It's sort of sticky there. See, I'm kind of sticking to it a little bit. And then it's going to tack you. There. Like I said, I'm not making a lot. This will probably make maybe 6 or 8. But from there, like any dumpling, you want to let this dough rest for about, 15-20 minutes. So, find yourself something to do. I already made my filling, which I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. But if you were, while you're letting the dough rest, you could actually probably just go ahead and make your filling. That's a good way to go about it. But anyhow, cover it. Isn't that a pretty towel? Who made those, Kathy?
Wanda made those.
Wanda, yeah.
My mom's best friend.
Yeah, those are sweet little towels. So anyway, cover that up for about 15-20 minutes, and then you come back and you actually make the dumpling, which is the fun part. You get the whole family involved. Everybody get together, have a little project. So we'll do that here in a little bit. All right. So my dough's rested for around 15-20 minutes. So now we can make the dumplings. So again, pretty simple here. If you're interested, but before I get started though, I was going to talk a little bit about cookbooks, just because I noticed people have them out, and I love cookbooks. And anyway, this is kind of a combination of two things in some ways. Probably something that you might get out of this book, the Bible. Southern Food by John Edgerton. Anyway, John Edgerton, rest in peace, the great, late, but awesome John Edgerton. This book is awesome. My dad got me this, Polish Chicago, all right? This pierogi recipe is basically that one, sort of, right, with some modifications, but this one's cool. What's cool about both these books is that you got like a history of Polish Chicago and a history of the South through foodways, which is really cool. I use this sometimes, but this is a real suffering kind of text. At least in the sense that it's bare bones, basic sort of stuff. Man. If you want to know stuff like how to make duck's blood soup, well, you got that, man. That's the real deal over there, buddy. Okay. So this has a tendency to stick, so you really want to keep your surface floured. And you want to also get your rolling pin good and lathered up, right? 'Cause this is a sticky business. Okay. And I just work it out this way from the center. And then from there, I start rolling it. And you gotta roll these really thin. That's the kicker about this.
How do you know when you've rolled it out enough?
When it gets really thin. Like I've gone as far as, I have actually a guy I met, I can't remember what department he's in, but I think I met him all the way back at Belmont, and when I first started in 2008, and he was a newbie also. Oop, cat hair. He was a new guy too, and I can't remember. I think he might have been a pharmacist or something, but he had a Polish last name, and so we somehow got in a conversation about making pierogi. He said he uses. You can get packages in like the freezer section of wonton dough. You know, like Chinese wonton dough. And he said he swore by it. I said, well, that sounds like a great idea. Of course, then I thought it was blasphemy, and but you know, hey, different strokes for different folks, man. We're all just on this planet for a brief spin. So if you gotta use that, that's cool. That's pretty good. You can see how it's almost like kind of. That's really thin. Yeah. You see how much we got out of that? Just that little thing. Okay. All right. So let me talk a little bit about this filling that I made. It's basically the way you make southern greens, except with a regular head of cabbage. Is basically how I did it. So, you know, I used sort of a quick greens recipe for this. I mean, I think a lot of Southerners, historically at least, would boil their greens, you know, with ham hocks or or whatever, or some good pork fat for flavor and taste. What I generally do is I just get like a bunch of bacon, cut it into small pieces, put it in the in a pan. Render the fat up and then sauté usually some onions and a little bit of garlic, or if you want to put some pepper pods or something like that in there, that's really good. And then I just stem and chop up the cabbage and throw it in there, mix it on up with a little bit of stock, usually some chicken stock, and I can't really say how much that is, maybe a cup or so, or maybe more, I don't know. And then I just mix it up and then I just put a lid on it and let it reduce. And in this case, I did that, and then I just took what was left over, put it in a food processor with a couple pieces of bread, and I got this wondrous thing. It looks kind of like a stuffing, but it's got a real smoky bacon, you know what I mean, sort of cabbage flavor. Makes a really cool stuffing for the dumpling. So anyway, let's make a few. I got this weird thing. This is actually like a thing for saving tomatoes or something, right? Anyway, but you could use like a big, I don't know, anything that'll work. Small bowl, I don't know, but just put a little water on the rim, right? Save a little water here. You want to have you a little bowl of water handy when you're doing this. I just do them one at a time. That's kind of nice. Stretch them out a little bit. Yeah. So, just a little bit of. There's a tendency to want to overstuff them. I don't put much more than that in there. And then I usually just kind of a little water along the edges, that. Then whoop, stretch. And there you go. Pretty nice. I don't know. I like a little fork job there. You know, kind of get your edges like that. There you go. Just like that. Line them up. Isn't that pretty? That's real pretty.
That is very pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty. So I'll make a few of these. Yeah. So here we are, final exam time. Just a good time for a good hearty Polish meal, you know. What would you serve with your pierogi? Well, I think the classic would be some good Polish sausage. I don't have any of that because, for me anyway, it's like it's enough that I'm eating these. These are already pretty fierce. I mean, so.
I think we have some skinless turkey sauce.
Oh, yum! That sounds delicious. Anyway, or something horrid like that. Ooh, that one's even better than the last one. But see why you want, you can see kind of why you want the inside of that dough to be a little sticky, because otherwise it'll fall apart when you boil them. That one's even better than the last one. Hot damn. Yeah. This really is it's kind of the perfect size thing, isn't it? I mean, it's pretty surprising. Got all this stuff. I've been made way too much. I've been eating pierogi stuffing for days. Maybe just put that in a sandwich. You know, get you a sandwich.
With some Polish sausage.
Some Polish sausage on it. Polish sausage and pierogi stuffing sandwich. You know, maybe go sort of southern and put you some, I don't know. What?
Cheese whiz.
Cheese whiz. Mayonnaise on there. Think of something. Oh, golly, Pete, man. Isn't that nice? All right, we're back. Look at these beauties, huh? Those turned out pretty nice, huh? Those are nice. So, here's how I prepare them. I just bring a pot of water, I don't know, a couple quarts, I guess, with salted water, like you would for pasta or something, to a rolling boil, and a nice boil, you know. That's going along okay. Come on, baby. Even a little bit more than that, but it'll be fun. Anyway, and then you dump them in there, and then once they start to float, you pretty much pull them out. And it's at that point, I like to saute them and a little bit of butter. You don't have to, you know what I mean? If you feel like you're in a really healthy mood, you know, I guess, you don't have to saute them with a little bit of butter. I'll show you what I do there, but I think they're delicious that way. So this is kind of a dual operation here. Let's drop them in. They don't go very long. Two are sticking to the side. There. So once they float to the top, you really don't let them go much longer than that. In my case, you don't, because they're just, you know, you're going to saute them anyway. Yeah. Oh, didn't get a good seal on a couple of those. That's okay. But yeah, not very long. Really not much longer than that. I mean, you're talking what, 30 seconds? Maybe? About as long as it takes you to, what, to wash your hands? So, yeah, something like that. Because remember, the dough is really thin. I thinned it way out. Yeah. Pretty good. See? That looks good, huh? I made the mistake of boiling them too long on a lot of occasions, and then you get like a real doughy, you know?
Kind of tough.
Kind of tough thing. Texture, and that's not what you want. So the key is you want to get the dough as thin as really you can without breaking it. And you don't want to boil them too long, because then if you boil them too long, you could steam them. I mean, steaming them would be a good thing too if you got a little more time on your hands, like getting a good dumpling. So here, just got a cast iron skillet here, you know, a little bit of butter in it. And here's how I generally do these. Drop them in there. Is that hot? Yeah. Are those really hot? Yeah. Oh man. I'll put a little more butter in there. So this is probably some sort of blasphemy too. I like to put a little bit of breadcrumbs on those suckers. I seem to remember somehow, maybe I misremembered, but I seem to remember that my grandmother used to put breadcrumbs on them. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I feel like Bouchard put breadcrumbs on it. But anyway, they seem to come out like that. See, you can tell this pan isn't like ripping because I've got my hand on it. You know? Yeah. Give it a saute, a little brown. Yeah, that's nice.
Messy.
Yeah, it is. I didn't get a good flip there, but that's good. See how that looks? A little brown. Brown them in a little butter. Yeah, I mean, another good way to do them is if you wanted to caramelize some onions. Carolize, that's my mom's name, Carol. I suppose my mom made this, she'd carolize some onions, but you'd caramelize some onions, you know, and you get that going in there first and then drop them in there, you know, with those nice buttered up caramelized onions. That's really delicious too. This is another one of those things you don't want it to go too long, just because then you got, again, a hard doughy creature on your hands and everything like that. Yeah, that's pretty good, huh? Serve that up with a little sauerkraut and some, you know, sausage. That'd be pretty good.
Greek yogurt is also good on this.
Yeah, you can put yogurt on there. Sour cream is good on there. People use all kinds of fillings. I've seen meat fillings. Cabbage filling I really like a lot. But cheese filling is really popular. You know, that's really good. And you know, yeah. Sort of like, oh yeah. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's call that. I don't boil them super long because, you know, I'm already going to saute them again. So I like that little crispy, you know, kind of outside to them. That's really all I got. As long as that, that's good. Hello, pretty. Yeah. Of course, that's going to be piping hot inside. You might wait a little while right before you do it. Put a garnish on there, you know, put a little garnish, something like that on it. But yeah, that's a pretty good pierogi right there. Tasty. Yeah. Of course, my father, I was telling him, he watched my biscuit video and he was really excited about that. Well, excited. He's like, I watched your biscuit video, Peter. And then, of course, he thought, well, why wouldn't you do pierogi? You know, he's like, you're Polish. I was like, yeah, Dad, I will. I will do that. He also said that there's going to be probably, if he let some people know, Polish people, 'cause Dad's the #1 Pole. If he let them know that there'd be lots of objections to a lot of features of this recipe, but that's okay, you know, hey. Foodways don't really know boundaries, you know. So there you have it. Sort of southernified pierogi recipe. They're delicious. You know, enjoy. Have you some sausage. I'm not going to make that turkey sausage with this. Seems like it might ruin it. What a waste. Anyway, pierogis. Good luck, everybody, with exams. Have a good, you know, meal. Don't let your cat near it. Don't.
He doesn't like pierogi.
He doesn't like pierogi. Oh, anyway, bye.